give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
The key to quality and efficiency. Be a jewel. Professionalism is the jewel in the corporate crown.
Refresh Sri Lanka for a civic-minded society. In association with AICPA and SIMA and 99X. LMD, the voice of business.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. Tonight on the forum, we're zooming in on the challenges faced by the export sector. And with us, we have the Chairman and CEO of Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Dr. Kingsley Bernard. It's very nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating me in your show.
To start off our discussion, can you give us an overview of the prevailing state of the export sector?
Okay, let me concentrate on the first 2 months of the year, because we have data only for those first 2 months. If you look at the period Jan to February 23, merchandise exports decreased by about 12%. That is, the present figure is US dollars 1,930 million, compared to the corresponding figure of 2,196 million in 2022. So this is a decline of 12%. Export earnings of apparel and textiles, rubber-based products, and coconut-based products have shown decreases by approximately 15% first two products, and also coconut-based products by about 24.58%. And however, earnings from spices and concentrates, electronics and electronic components, then tea and diamonds, gems and jewelry increased by 11%, 10%, 6.3%, and also 55% respectively during the period of Jan to February 23, compared with the corresponding period of 2022. Exports to major markets, including US and EU, also decreased as a result. The figures, if I give a percentage, the USA exports declined by 17%, EU 14.5%, and UK by 10%, and also China by 7.4%. So that is the picture, which is not a very encouraging one, but these are slight drops. Although if you look at the percentage, it may not sound that way. So we are looking forward to increase or enjoy better figures in the coming few months.
Dr. Bernard, last month, the EDB said that Sri Lanka's export sector is becoming stable in terms of income. So against this backdrop, what do you forecast for 2023 in terms of export performance?
Yes, our export forecast for the year 23 is around 18.9 billion US dollars, of which merchandise exports to be US dollars 16.7 billion, and the service exports would be approximately US dollars 2.2 billion. However, with the economic challenges prevailing in our major markets, such as USA and EU, these figures might change because those are beyond our control. Because in even developed markets, there are a lot of issues in the sense economical downturn, and also as a result, some companies are downsizing their manufacturing and also import of items. The first 2 quarters in 2023 will be challenging to Sri Lanka. However, we expect a recovery in the second half of 2023. Those are our forecasts.
And what do you think are the most significant challenges that exporters will have to face in the near future?
Right. Now, if you look at the challenges we had, actually, with the cumulative effect of COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the world market uncertainty is one of the most significant challenges faced by our exporters. As per the recent World Economic Outlook data, there will be supply disruptions, commodity price spikes, and high inflation in the global economy. Real GDP in USA is expected to decrease from 2.1% in 2022 to about 1.6% in 2023. Whereas in European area, the real GDP is expected to decline from 2.3% in 2022 to about 0.8% in 2023. So you will see the declining of those highly developed big economies. Sri Lankan exporters are currently facing high inflation, high interest rates, and high taxes. It will be challenging for the exporters to become competitive in the international market due to those circumstances. Exchange rate volatility is another major concern of the exporters, especially when the imported materials are used for manufacturing purposes. Further, the current economic situation of the country, the migration of skilled labor has aggravated the impact to exporters. So these are the real challenges faced by the exporters, Sri Lankan exporters at the moment.
You spoke of challenges, Dr. Bernard. How do these challenges translate to the SME sector? How are SME exporters really coping up, in your opinion?
That's a very good question. SMEs play a significant role as either direct or indirect exporters, because most of these SMEs are not direct exporters. The challenges faced by the large exporters are equally applicable to SMEs. Some of the challenges they face include increased cost of raw materials, increased cost of borrowings, poor negotiation skills to link with international market, insufficient capacity to cater the required quality and quantity. Those are some of the issues faced by these SMEs. EDB has developed, now towards this, EDB has developed new exporter development program to upgrade the potential small and medium enterprises of around 200 in order to increase their contribution in the export value chain in identified areas. Now, sometimes we might not be able to produce the finished goods, but in the value chain, at certain stages, we may be able to manufacture or produce component parts. So in some of the developed countries or developing countries, one of the strategies for their export development is without waiting until the finished products are made, they go to different stages of their value chain and produce those products. Now, this program of training these 200 exporters, we have identified the entrepreneurs, identified their potential, and we are making use of about 300 development officers at the ground level through regional enterprise forums, awareness seminars, workshops, and improving their knowledge. Then also we maintain database for export ready and potential entrepreneurs. Then with regard to capacity building programs, we prepare these export-oriented business plans. Then also we teach them about export procedure, market opportunities, packaging and labeling, standards in food value chain, quality assurance, and food safety systems. Further, we also give them a lot of insights about product development programs. Those are being conducted, and they are imparted knowledge on new product development, how to design these products, etc. Then market development programs are there. Through these programs, they are given exposure to B2B meetings, e-marketing, branding, link with direct exporters. Those are some of the areas that we are supporting them. And also it is also proposed to implement the export houses concept as a private sector marketing-oriented initiative to expand exports of SMEs. Now, these export houses are one major strategy which was practiced by Japan, Korea, and also even in countries like USA. So this is a proven concept, and we are trying to make them popularized in this country as well.
It's time to take a short break, and when we return, we'll resume our conversation on the challenges faced by the export sector.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
You're mobile, and so are we.
Gets me going.
Grab the Lite 87 app at the Apple App Store or Google Play now.
87.8 and 87.6 island-wide. Lite 87.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking to the Chairman and CEO of Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Dr. Kingsley Bernard. If we look at Sri Lanka's position, competitive position in the region, we are really behind regional peers such as Bangladesh and even Vietnam. In your opinion, what needs to be done for Sri Lanka to really level the playing field?
Yes, actually, what you said is right. We are a little behind them at the moment, although we were ahead of them a few years ago. So therefore, we have to look at ourselves and make some corrective measures. Now, the World Bank Doing Business ranking measures the life of business among 190 countries in 10 areas. Now, they look at these 10 criteria, namely starting a business, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registration of property, getting credit, protecting minority investors, paying taxes, trading across the boundaries, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvency. Those are the 10 areas they look at in preparing this index. So if you look at this index, in 2020, Sri Lanka ranked at 1999. However, Vietnam ranked at 70 and also Bangladesh at 168. Sri Lanka lies between these two economies as per the doing business ranking. But if we look at the expected real GDP growth among the three countries for 23, those figures stands at 5.8%, and Vietnam 5.5%, and Bangladesh. Vietnam and Bangladesh at 5.8 and 5.5. Our expected real GDP growth is for 23 minus 3%. The government is extending its fullest support to fast track the economic recovery with the support of the donor agencies and also Export Development Board as the apex agency in promoting exports of the country is mainly involved in export promotional and development activities in collaboration with the stakeholders through its co-functional areas, that is, as a policy advisor, monitor, facilitator, knowledge provider, and promoter. So by doing this, we are trying to improve the productivity of our exporters, given the environmental conditions. So these are the areas. And also we have just completed national export strategy for the last 5 years, that is 2018 to 2022. And we are now revisiting this national export strategy, and we are trying to rectify certain weaknesses in the previous one, and we are going to launch a new NES during the next 5 years. So these are the areas that we are trying to improve our performance, and we are hopeful that we should be able to improve the situation.
Dr. Bernard, we've been hearing that Sri Lanka's negative image and negative rankings and all these perception issues that we're having in the world market is really impacting customer relationships. And when we look at major local exporters, they have very long-standing customers who've been with them for years. Now, what do you think is the proportion of the bearing of the country's rankings on customer relationships? I mean, if we take the country's rankings versus customer loyalty, do you think customer loyalty will win?
Yeah. As a marketeer, I would think that customer loyalty should win. And that is some good news for us. Because even now, if you look at our main sector, apparel, we are really upmarket. If you compare with our competitors in India, Pakistan, or China, or Vietnam, for that matter, our products are a little upmarket. So as a result of that, we are more competitive in those markets. So therefore, we have really cultivated a very good relationship with our partners or with our buyers. So therefore, I would give more weight to the relationship than the country situation, because there are solutions and ways and options to overcome these difficulties.
We read in the paper that when you assume duties as the new EDB chief, you mentioned that Sri Lanka really has to focus on introducing innovations and advanced technology to our export basket. How far behind do you think we are, and what really needs to be done to bridge the gap, if so?
Yeah, actually, we have been talking about this in 1990s. So still, we have to talk. The reason is we have not come to that stage yet. But I won't say that we have not done anything, but we have started our process, and also in the electronic and electric items area, we have made some headway. And it's a question of expediting these processes. And also, I think one mistake that we were doing is we were waiting until we manufacture or prepare the finished product. So it is not the case now. So in the value chain, there are so many stages where we can cater to. I think most of these countries did that as a strategy. That is how they develop their exports and also the products and finally their economies.
Dr. Bernard, my next question is revolved around LMD's recent campaign titled Refresh Sri Lanka, which we launched to encourage a mindset change in society to create a more civic-minded society in Sri Lanka. So when we look at uplifting the country's export sector, especially in terms of SME exporters, what do you think the focus area should be to really ensure that there is civic-mindedness, especially when it comes to dealing with all the stakeholders that are involved in this?
Right. I think there are about 4 areas that you have to pay attention to. Transparency and accountability among the stakeholders. That is a key area. Then ethical and professional practices. This is another important area, and also it's gathering momentum now. Then non-discrimination. And finally, the capacity building. If you are active in all 4 areas, and if you really implement those activities in those 4 fields, then you will be successful.
We're almost at the end of our conversation, but before we wrap up, any closing thoughts you have to share with our audience today?
Right. Now, I was talking about the national export strategy. Now, our thinking, the government thinking and the country's thinking is that we have to always implement an export-led strategy growth. So our strategy should be export-led growth. Now, at the same time, export-led investment. When we are getting investment, we must ensure that these investments are helping to increase our exports. So if you look at certain ventures, so those ventures, what are they producing? What are they manufacturing? In what stage of the development cycle they are in? Those things have to be looked at. So therefore, the government is following a strategy where export-led growth and export-led investment are key areas. Further, if you look at the economic problems that we are faced with right now, the country's economic situation, the crux of the matter of the problem is that our trade balance, deficit trade balance. So if we can address that issue, then we will be solving a lot of other problems, which are all connected. So if you can treat that basic issue of trade imbalances, then we should be able to rectify most of the weaknesses and problems. So we are trying to do that by developing the exports so that we can reduce the trade balance, which is not in our favor at the moment. Because as a small country, we might not be able to get a very big trade balance, which is in favor of us. But still, we can reduce the deficit and improve our economy.
We've been talking to the Chairman and CEO of Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Dr. Kingsley Bernard. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.